The ADHD brain can be really powerful, especially in growing a small business. I think a lot of people are just afraid to try to sell somebody something, but what you want to do with a business is sell stuff. And that's the thing that I was scared of. But like, I'm providing something for them that they can't get somewhere else, I think.
Hello, everyone. Today on the ADHD Skills Labs, I am joined by Tiana Sutton. Tiana is a refit and rev and flow instructor, a mother of 5, and someone who's been navigating ADHD while growing a business in a way that that has been really awesome to see. So in this episode, we talk about what it's like for Tiana, how she first realized she had ADHD, and then also some of the shifts she's had in the business. Tiana is also a member of Focus Balance Growth Program, so we'll talk a little bit about some of the strategies she learned there, and also just what it's like to decide, you know what, I'm going to grow a business even though I have a ton of kids and a lot of things going on, and what that journey looks like. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Tiana.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
No worries. So let's start with your ADHD journey. So when did it first click for you that ADHD might be something that you're struggling with?
Yeah, so it was actually very recently, just a few months ago. Starting my business, I have been trying to learn a lot and I have started listening to a few podcasts like for entrepreneurs. And I was listening to the How of Business podcast with Henry Lopez, and you were a guest on his podcast and did an episode about focus without burnout. So up until that point, I had just been like listening to all of his episodes because I was just really like learning a lot from him and really kind of resonating with everything that he was saying. And when I heard your episode, I resonated so much with everything that you were saying that the next chance I had, I went and like looked up your podcast and started listening to your podcast and never went back to to listening to any of the other podcasts I had been listening to because
My God, I'm
just
flattered. I had
episode
no
after
idea.
yeah, just like episode after episode. Yeah, I just was resonating with all of those things so much that I was like, well, and actually now that I'm remembering like more specifically, I kind of latched onto it at first because my brother was actually recently diagnosed with ADHD. And
Mm.
I was kind of like, oh, like this sounds like it could be helpful for him. And then as I was listening more and more, like I just kept coming back for more because I was just starting to resonate with it so much. Yeah,
Gosh,
that's
yeah.
basically that was
It,
yeah, that was it.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, I actually had no idea that was how you found out about ADHD. I feel very flattered, but it is funny as well how we do that with our family. We're like, they seem like they need some help. We should learn something for them.
Basically, yeah. Like, "Oh, this might help him," and I would, like, send him the link.
Yeah, it can't be me. So, you shared for yourself that, what were some of the things that you resonated with? You mentioned maybe struggling with starting things, sorry, being good at starting things, but following through, struggling a little bit with that. So, when did those pieces kind of start to come together where you're like, oh, and then also this? And what were some of those pieces that made you think this might be something?
So, the working memory for sure, like, you were talking about, like, basically what it is and
Mm-hmm.
why it's so hard to remember things. And just especially I don't know exactly the reason, but just in the past few years, my memory has just been appalling, like, scary bad in some ways, like,
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like
Yeah.
I'm, like, losing some of myself because I just can't remember anything. Um, and yeah, so I just like really latched onto that and realized like maybe that kind of following the things that you were recommending could be helpful for me. And I think I
Mm.
forgot the whole question. We were
You're
talking
all
about
good.
memory, and of course, oh my
You're
gosh.
all good. You're all
Uh,
good.
yeah, that was kind of
So
the big one that drew me in at first was
yeah,
just, yeah, with memory for
anything for
sure.
the memory. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be very tough, and it does ebb and flow. I've worked with a lot of clients where they'll say like, I my memory was good, and then it became a struggle again. So it can do that, which is very destabilizing. It can really cause a lot of struggles. So when we met, you had started your business. So tell me what were you doing at the time, and how was it going?
Yeah, I've been an instructor with Refit and Rev and Flow for almost 10 years. So I've had classes, off and on, just kind of doing the little side gig thing, basically, like
Uh-huh.
teaching a class here and there. But last fall, I decided that I wanted to start my classes back up after having been away from doing it for a few years and like really make it into something more than just, teaching a class here and there. I wanted to really build a community of members and classes. So that's kind of how it started. And then sometime in the spring, I had had some time because nobody came to that one class,
Oh
it
no, that's always a nightmare
I know,
scenario.
I know. I've gotten
Yeah.
so used to it though because it takes time. It's kind of a pattern and I've kind of gotten used to it, I guess, like doing this thing for 10 years and realizing that it's just kind of part of like a stage in the process of building it. That
Yeah.
like at least the way I do it, like you're not gonna have a full class the first day.
Honestly, for anybody out there who's afraid of doing group activities because you're worried that no one's gonna show up, I've been there, Tiana's been there. It's a part of the process.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I just keep showing up
Mhm.
even if nobody else does. Yeah. So I use that time. If nobody came, I would still use that time to kind of like work on my business,
Uh-huh.
even if I wasn't like actually teaching a class. So I was just sitting there kind of like daydreaming and thinking about just what else I could do around those classes and just kind of like came up with a dream of building it into more of like a wellness space where, we had the fitness classes, but also like kind of like the day spa atmosphere, just like a place to be a recovery place for people and not just for, exercising and like getting your cardio in, but really like being
Yeah.
restorative and being a place that like just really nurtures not only the body, but like the mind and the soul too. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. That's awesome. That's really cool. And so you also joined Focus Balance Growth program, our program, earlier this year as well. So what was going on? Obviously you'd listened to the podcast at that point. What was it that made you go, okay, I have these focuses. I want to do this thing. This is where I'm at. And I'm actually going to go for it and seek out some support.
So, like, with listening to all the business podcasts and, entrepreneurial podcasts, one of the kind of the recurring recommendations that I was hearing was like, as soon as you can afford it, really get a business coach. Like
Uh-huh.
somebody that can help you stay headed in the right direction, somebody that can help you avoid making some of those like beginner mistakes, the kinds of mistakes you make when you just like kind of don't know better because you've never done it before. I have heard that so many times as a recommendation of like, if I had to go back, like, this is what I would do. So I was kind of already in the space of being ready to pursue like looking for a business coach and then like heard your podcast, like your episode on Henry Lopez's podcast, and then started listening to your podcast and you just like said to message you. And so like I I looked you up on Instagram and I messaged you like whatever word it was that you said. I don't even remember. I think it was probably
Yeah.
focus. It was probably
Yeah,
focus.
probably.
And so yeah, I just messaged you and you answered back, which I don't know why that surprised me, but I was like, "Oh, she's talking to me." And yeah,
Yeah.
just from there, like I was like, man, business coaching and ADHD coaching wrapped in one. Yeah, sign me up.
Let's get it
So
all done. Let's get it all
yes.
done now.
Yeah, well, and, like, just kinda, like, I guess a side note, like, just experience for me in the past, like, I've worked with counselors or, like, therapists in the past where, like, this piece aligns, but this piece doesn't align, and so I have to, like, do the puzzle work of
Mhm.
taking bits and pieces of what I'm learning from them and, like, fitting it into, like, how I work or how like, where my values are and such, and it just felt, like, all wrapped up in a nice package. So, I was like, "I think I
Yeah.
wanna work with Skye." So, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love business and I can't stop being ADHD, so we're going
There
for
you go.
both.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting what you say about the business coach. I got that advice as well, and I will say, yeah, way back 5 years ago, I had a business coach, and that was huge, hugely impactful, and it was like wouldn't be here without him. Shout out to John. So for you. what were some of the earliest mindset shifts or strategies that felt like breakthroughs? When you joined the program, what was the thing where you were like, "Oh, cool, like, this is happening?"
Like I was saying, understanding what working memory is and why
Mhm.
mine was so horrible. So that ties into, like, why the whole, like, brain dump process is so important, like, not just leaving it there where you just have a big long list of things, but, like, actually to, like, scrutinize each item and decide recognize, like, the importance, like, the true importance
Yeah.
of those items, right? Like, when we're looking at the whole list, like, our brains are gonna tell us it's all important, right?
Mhm.
But, like, to really ask yourself some questions about, like, how important is this? Where does it fit in the layers? I don't even know what the word is. Yeah, in order of how important it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that was kind of the stuff on the ADHD side. What about on the business side? What were the shifts
Mm.
for you?
Selling, like, learning how to sell in a way that's not high pressure, I guess, or even
Mhm.
yeah, like, I think a lot of people are just afraid to try to sell somebody something, but what you wanna do with a business is sell stuff. Usually, like, they're like, the only
Mhm.
way to, earn money as, doing any business is to sell something, There
Yeah.
has to be some
Yeah.
transaction there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, like and that's the thing that I was scared of, like, I don't wanna ask people to give me money for
Mhm.
anything, but, like, I'm providing something for them that they can't get somewhere else, I
Yeah.
think. I think that what I do is pretty unique, at least in my area, and so I think this is the only place they can get it, and so I think that's value, and then just, like, learning how to package that up and actually ask somebody if they wanna buy it, you know?
Yeah. And they did.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
did,
they
I
they
remember
did,
that.
they are doing it, so yeah.
Are you running a service business that looks fine on paper, but day to day feels messy and reactive? You're constantly putting out fires, half your plans never get finished, and no matter how hard you try and push through, things don't feel properly under control. Most business owners I work with don't have a motivation problem, they have a focus problem. Too many fires, too many priorities, too many systems that work for everyone except you and your brain. You're stuck in a graveyard of generic productivity advice that sounds good, but it never actually sticks. Which is why on January 21st, I'm running a practical workshop for service business owners who struggle with ADHD symptoms and want their business to feel calmer, clearer, and easier to run in 2026 without burning themselves to the ground. This isn't about theory. We'll do a real business audit together. You'll identify the single biggest thing quietly holding your business back right now and leave with a clear, ADHD friendly plan to fix it. Not another framework, not another notebook, a plan you can actually execute that week. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels, feeling overwhelmed, and you know that doing nothing is already costing you much more than an hour, this workshop is for you. Click the link to register in the show notes, and I'll see you there. All right, let's get back to the episode. No, that's awesome. So, what do you think was if you think about being a part of a community of people, getting the strategies when it comes to ADHD, getting the strategies for business, like how to sell in a way that feels good. What kind of stood out to you in terms of the ADHD ness? Like, what was there a moment in the community? Because you've been in it for a little while now where you went like, oh, this is a home for me. Because you mentioned it's been
Mm,
different and you've had to put the
mhm.
puzzle pieces together in other spaces.
Definitely the way that the prioritization filter, that whole approach, how it works.
Mhm,
So I think back to like all of the other productivity type systems that I've ever
mhm.
encountered. And actually I mentioned my brother, like he has done so much research like on the productivity side of things because I think he also was looking for the thing that works for him. And, like then later discovering ADHD, like those don't work for the
Yeah.
way that our brains work,
Mhm.
because it's just like, "Just do the thing." Like, that doesn't
Yeah.
work. Yeah, and if it's not working, do it harder, like, I don't know. But, yeah, so just the way the prioritization filter is set up, like, it allows me to see, like, not everything's on fire, and
Yeah.
not everything has to be addressed right now, and,
Yeah.
like, really, like, hone in and focus on the things that do. And, yeah, just, like, interacting with other people who just, like, get it. Like, I don't have to explain so much, like, "Well, this is why this is such a difficulty for me." Like, they just already kinda get
Mhm.
it. We have, like, a language, like, defining terms, like, understanding, well, like, I'm struggling with feeling like an imposter or, like,
Mm.
the rejection anxiety, I can't remember what it's called, but, like
Yeah, rejection
and have
sensitivity.
yes, like, I don't know if you remember, like, that one call we were on where I was literally about to cry just because you were wanting me to send somebody a text message.
I do remember
Oh.
that. I feel like just so for everyone who's listening, it was a fully voluntary
Yes.
activity.
Yes, it
I
was.
just and you were very happy that you did it.
I was, yes. It was one of
Yeah.
those things where, like, facing the thing that's hard to do, but knowing that this is what I need to do, and they were just so much encouragement on there because everybody completely understood what I was struggling with,
Yeah.
and I knew that it wasn't real, like, this person that I text is not gonna hate me forever just because I try to sell them my class, but that's
Yeah.
what it feels like in the moment.
Yeah, and we hear that a lot, we hear that a lot in the community, and I think that's one of the reasons it's nice to be a part of that. Because, like you said, everybody was sending the email and everyone was terrified. I remember there was a few sales from there, I think a couple of people,
Oh,
so,
that's great, yeah.
it was definitely one of those experiences, and now you guys know
Mhm.
how to do it, so
Yes, yeah. It's not as scary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta do it the first time. Obviously, you're a very busy person. You have a business, you have 5 kids and pets and all of those things. How have you found navigating I often hear sort of the sense of like, "Oh, well, I don't think I can do this because I have kids." I mean, I have kids, and it can be difficult for sure, but, like, how have you managed running a business and having kids at the same time?
Well, when I read this question, because you sent them to me ahead of time, thank you for that, so I could
No worries, I
be
wouldn't leave
prepared.
Yeah.
Um, I got a picture in my mind of, at the circus or whatever, they have the people that, like, spin the plates on the or,
Mhm.
like, they have, like, a million plates spinning. It's kinda like that, um, but but I
Yeah.
don't look nearly so calm, well, I don't feel like I look calm. Other people are like, "I
Yeah.
don't know how you do it, like, you just look like you." I don't know what they see because I don't feel like I I
Mhm.
have everything all together. I will say, like, a huge part of it is having a super supportive partner, like, my husband is, like, a huge supporter, of, like, wanting me to thrive and shine and, like, be able to pursue the thing I'm passionate about, and, like, we are 100% a team when it comes to parenting and raising the kiddos, so that's a huge part of it, like, I don't think I would be able to do it if I was, like, having to, like, do it all completely myself necessarily or, like, having to kinda, like, wrestle with, like, tension there because of it, so he makes it way easier by being supportive. One of the things that he pointed out about me actually part of what, like, launched me into, like, deciding I was gonna do this and all that is so we used to homeschool full time. And then last year we decided to send the kiddos to a hybrid school. So there, it's kind of like half and half to create space for me to kind of like take care of me in
Yeah.
some different ways. Then I decided to start a business.
You're like, that's enough of that.
Right. And he was like, I really like, he's always worried about me doing too much. And he's probably
Mhm.
right. And he was like, you just always seem to like, any free time that you have or, like, any space that you make, you just, like, fill it right back up again. And I think probably I wouldn't be able to function if I didn't have all the crazy. I don't even know how that works. Maybe that's, like,
Yeah.
how I get my dopamine. I don't like, that's just
It probably is.
how
That's
I
what I
like,
was
my
gonna say.
coping my
Yeah.
coping mechanism. I just didn't know it all those years.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
but
We
yeah,
can tend to do that with life, yeah. We have a dopamine set point, and clearly yours is, like, at, like, 5 kids in a business.
apparently, and rescuing whatever pet comes across our doorstep, I don't know.
Oh,
I
I
have a
love
big
that.
I have a soft spot for animals,
Mhm.
I
That's
guess.
awesome. But you're still, I would put you as, like, you're still in the beginning of your business journey. You're still starting out, which is the
Yeah,
stage a
definitely.
lot of listeners are in. I hear a lot of times people, like, they're just starting, they're taking their first tentative steps. They wanna kind of stop and run back. They're sort of shifting, like you said, from that kind of, like, doing this on an ad hoc basis to really doing this. What advice do you have for anybody who's struggling with that and struggling to keep going?
I think, like, with the ADHD side of things, like, it like, really scary, like, I can't do this, like, administrative task very well. I'm really bad at remembering to do this thing or, staying on task, staying focused. But, like, there are tools that do work with our brains, and, like, that's what you do, like, you have tools that really work and really help, and even, like, things that actually make the frustrating tasks or the tasks that you don't wanna deal with, like, makes them tolerable and even maybe enjoyable, depending on what it is. Like, weirdly, like, I like organizing things, I just don't like dealing with it. So
Mhm,
yeah, like,
mhm.
it's kind of a weird, like, dichotomy, I guess. But I think especially, like, the ADHD brain can be really powerful, and I think especially in growing a small business because the creativity, like, the ability to produce under pressure, like, to, like, really do well, perform well under pressure, and even, like, the ability to juggle so many different roles, like, do so many different things. Gosh, like I feel like in a lot of ways, like the ADHD brain is really built for being your own business owner or starting
Yeah,
businesses. So like for anybody who is like trepidatious about it or worried that they just can't do it, like I would say in some ways I think you're built for it, so go for
yeah.
it.
I love that. It's so true. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions that we ask everybody on the podcast. So the first question is, what is one professional achievement that you're the most proud of?
Like I mentioned before, I am about to celebrate 10 years of being a refit instructor. And I keep telling people it still feels weird to like say that I've done anything for like 10 years or longer. Like I've been a parent for 15 years, like it's just I don't
Yeah,
feel like I'm old enough to have that yet. But I am. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself for sticking with that over the years, even though, other things have come and gone. And
yeah.
yeah, like I'm really excited to continue to grow it into something that's gonna make a difference for people in their lives.
That's awesome. And on the other side, do you have like a failure or an embarrassment that you've sort of dealt with, but maybe learned from as well?
I had a really hard time thinking of something on this one. I can't really think of anything business related because I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really done a lot on the business side of things thus far, like I said, side gigs
Mm-hmm.
here and there. But definitely on just like the life in general and, knowing what I know
Mm-hmm.
now, it was definitely a working memory thing, but it was super embarrassing because it happened more than once. So, okay, so like the custom of like taking a meal, a dinner to someone who
Mm-hmm.
has had, like, a big life event, whether, like, positive or negative, like a baby or a funeral or,
Mm-hmm.
an illness, and there's, like, websites now where you can, like, sign up to
Mm-hmm.
and, like so it, like, organizes everybody, and so I signed up to, like,
Mm-hmm.
bring somebody a meal, and then, like, the day that I was supposed to bring it, like, no, it was, like, just not even a thing in my brain at all anymore, didn't
Mm-hmm.
exist,
Mm-hmm.
and the person was, like texted me, "Hey, I was just wondering, like, what time you were gonna be just so that I can, have an idea for the
Yeah.
kids," and stuff like that, and I was
Mhm,
just
mhm.
like, "I am a horrible person." Like, I just felt completely
Oh,
horrible, like, I
yeah,
promised to bring this person a meal, in, like, a
yeah.
hard time in their life, and I just completely forgot. And,
Mhm,
like, it happened again, like,
yeah.
in a different situation, and I was just like, "Yep, I'm never signing up to do that again, ever." Like, just gonna
Oh my gosh,
find other
yeah.
other ways. But I think on the business
Other
side,
ways to give.
probably yeah, other ways to give for sure. Yeah. I think on the business side, at least, like I do have like a lot of maybe not embarrassment, but just like I beat myself up about the like starting and never seeing anything through to fruition, because every time I would start a business here and there, I tried to be a photographer and, started a cake business and like all kinds of things and just they would just kind of fall by the wayside when I would, life would get busier for some reason and so like I kind of have all those little things following me around telling my brain that I can't do this thing because I have never been able to do it in the past, and so I have to tell those voices to hush. But
Yeah,
yeah.
100%, yeah. And I really appreciate you sharing those. I think it's very relatable. You actually reminded me, I mean, I've had a situation a long time ago, but it was still I caught 2 buses to go to an event that turned out to be happening next week.
Oh no.
This was before I knew I had ADHD.
Yes. Oh gosh.
So I knocked on their door and she opened the door and she was like, "Why are you here?" She was in
Surprise.
she was like busy with someone else.
Oh.
I was like, "I'm making my appointment. Look at me go." So yeah, it's funny how yeah, ADHD brains, you just gotta laugh about it. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Tiana, it's been so wonderful having you on here. I have one more question for you. If you had to pick a life motto, what would it be?
I kind of have 2, I think. So,
Mhm.
one that has kind of, like, come along with me, like, through my whole journey with Refit, is progress over perfection. So, like, the perfectionist thing is really a big deal for me, and that's another thing that I learned is, like, an ADHD thing, right? Like, y perfectionism to the point of just, like, not even doing it because it can't be
Mhm.
perfect, so we're
Yeah.
not gonna do it, But, like, just learning the concept of taking a step, taking the next step, even if you don't check all the boxes, still like, you're still making progress toward whatever it is that your goal is, and as long as that is your goal, like, that you're focusing on the progress of it, then, like, the perfection side of it, like, it doesn't matter because perfection isn't even truly achievable, so and then
100%.
the other one is something that I've been hearing you say a lot, and I don't know where you got it from or if it's you or somebody else you're quoting. Man, it just really just defines my whole life, like, before I even realized that I had ADHD, like, you have said, "Hard is easy and easy is hard," and, like,
Yeah.
it's just, like, in a nutshell, that is how I am.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel so seen. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm quoting one of my clients, the wonderful Lisa Ballard, who's come on this podcast before. That was something we talked about because it's true. It's
Yeah.
amazing how easy the hard things can be and how impossible it can be to do the
Yes. Oh my
seemingly
gosh.
mundane. Awesome. Well, Tiana, if people want to find you, they want to do refit, they want to, be a part of what you're doing. Tell people, how can they find you?
Well, I have one little corner of the internet that I hang out at. I have a Facebook page, Refit, REFIT with Tiana, and that's where I do most of my stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes for anybody who is interested. Thank you so much for coming along, Tiana. And I really appreciate you being so honest, sharing your story. And I'm really excited to see you keep growing and doing what you're doing.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Awesome. Thank you for listening, and a big thank you to Adam for making us sound great, Anastasia for making us look great, and Jess for putting it all together. We couldn't do it without you. If you want to find out more about us or you want to deep dive into ADHD strategies, particularly for business owners, you can find us on Instagram at Unconventional Organization. That is where the community is. That is where we are chatting. You can see all the fun and exciting things that we're bringing to the table there. So please go find us. DM me any questions, any thoughts you have. I always like talking with you guys. See you soon.